Greetings. I am Dr. Paulina Van, author of Regala Healing, an evocative approach for self care, self understanding, and inner healing. I have the honor of hosting this show, The Poetry of Healing, on blackdoctor.org. I want to welcome you from all over the world. We'd love to know where you're joining from, so please put it in the chat if you don't mind. We are nearing the end of the month of March, during which we have been celebrating National Women's History Month and the 2022 theme, Women Providing Healing and Promoting Hope. In this month's theme, and honoring women who have historically provided healing and hope for individuals, families, or communities, today's program is all about women's intuition, and everyone has it. Not only will we continue to focus on the mind, but we're also going to get our feelings or get into our feelings today, touch our feelings. So today's session is closely related to the session earlier this month titled Be Your Best Version, Using Your Inner Voice, during which we focused on the essential characteristics of an inner voice and we practiced techniques to promote more enriching and positive inner voices. I encourage you to view the recording. It'll give you a foundation for our time together today. Now, I invite you to embrace our goals for this session, and they include, by the end of the session, I hope that you will understand the difference between the inner voice and intuition, recognize when your intuition is communicating, and practice ways to strengthen your intuition. Using meditation, we will learn about techniques to help you cultivate a relationship with your intuition by listening, trusting, and using your intuition so that you will leave the session with additional self soothing, health promoting, stress reducing techniques that you may add to your toolbox of reflective practices that I hope you are building. We always begin with a centering exercise to help focus and collect our energy for this time together, a time for you, a gift for yourself. So this morning, I invite you to join in a mindful exercise called mindful listening. Listening is a key to accessing intuition. Get comfortable wherever you are, whether you're sitting, lying down, standing. And I invite you to either lower your gaze or close your eyes and take a moment to take a deep breath in and out. So remember, you breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth. Breathing deeply and slowly in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now pay attention to the sounds that you hear outside of the room or the space that you are in right now. Are there people speaking? Do you hear cars driving by? Do you hear music? Okay. So put your attention there. Now, next pay attention to the sounds you hear inside the room or space you are in right now. Again, are there other people in the room with you? Is there any cooking going on? Can you hear pans being stirred or pots being stirred? People talking, maybe the dogs barking. Okay. And finally, pay attention to what's going on inside of your body. Listen to your body. How does it feel? If there are any places where you kind of feel tight or stressed, just take a deep focus on that place and then take a deep breath into that place and out. We are at the end of our mindful listening practice, but I invite you to keep your eyes lowered or your eyes closed while I speak to you a little bit longer. And I wonder, what did you notice? What did you hear as we did our mindful listening? Now, now I'm going to ask you just take a regular deep breath to notice you are here. Take a one deep breath to notice how your body feels. Take one deep breath to enter the session. Welcome. For those of you who have just joined us, I am Dr. Paulina Van, author of Regala Healing, an evocative approach for self care, self understanding, and inner healing. I am the host of this program, The Poetry of Healing, on blackdoctor.org. And today we're exploring the topic intuition. So let's take a look at intuition. And intuition appears in written works and spoken about using a variety of labels. And I want to share some of those with you because I may be using them during our time together. And when you do your own research and you're talking about it, you may use these words as well. So they include wisdom, internal knowledge, guiding force, higher self, intrinsic knowledge, innate intelligence, the sixth sense, inner gut feeling, divine wisdom, universal guidance, and the voice of truth. So that we're kind of talking and thinking about the same thing, I want to give you a working definition of intuition. And I want to begin with a quote from one of my favorite poets. His name is Rumi, and that's his nickname. And he's a 13th century Persian poet and still today is the best selling poet in the United States. And he wrote the following about intuition: there is a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. Intuition has been defined as an inner knowing that often comes quite suddenly, as a glimpse, and mostly uninvited. Intuition relies on our brain's ability to evaluate a situation quickly and make a decision based on gut instincts. So let's talk a little bit about women's intuition. For you scientists and researchers out there, I'll give you this background, and that is the term women's intuition is related to the evolution of women's historic roles of mother and mate in society. Women have always had strong, natural, or intuitive abilities to understand and predict and meet the needs of their children and mates to help them thrive. In earlier generations, and I know it's true for me, women were often expected to be seen but not heard. The bright side of this story is that women developed a deep sense of observation by becoming highly sensitive to the feelings and nonverbal cues of others. A woman's intuition doesn't come from the conscious mind. It often seems irrational, and we don't always recognize it or want to trust it. I myself used to often second guess my intuition until I had some history of success behind me. People perceive intuition in at least four different ways. So you hear the intuitive guidance as a gentle voice in your mind. And that's what we talked about last time. You see intuitive guidance as images in your mind. You have a knowing of intuitive guidance as mental downloads, as occurred when I wrote Regala Healing. And you feel intuitive guidance as physical, emotional, or energetic sensations. Intuition doesn't always present itself to us as a clear, information or message. Sometimes we have to learn to understand our own intuition and inner feelings, get to know this subtle language, and see if you can trust it. Now, let's talk about the last show. Okay, so it was about inner voice. So, what's the difference between intuition and your inner voice? Okay, so inner voice is mainly thoughts or mainly thoughts, internal thoughts and inner speech. You will see that intuition involves the activation of multiple senses. To recognize your intuition, you need to be able to truly listen to yourself. Pay attention to your inner feelings and thoughts. What can disturb your ability to hear your intuition is when you are internally focused on a specific answer. For example, when you're in love. I have to share my example. While I was dating, I had a list of characteristics. Okay, let me be real. It was actually a list of requirements for my mate. I bet some of you have that list too. But I saw, but when I saw or met the person with these characteristics, my gut feeling was that of unease and being uncomfortable, but I ignored it. There are other examples of intuitive experiences that maybe you can relate to. So, such as a strange knowing that something is going to happen, an unexplained feeling that won't go away and is later explained by something that occurs, feeling very strong emotions towards someone or something, and later understanding that those feelings were correct and why. Okay. So, think about someone you met and you had immediate attraction to them, or you almost felt like you needed to step away. The intuition alarm is not only for danger, it will also try to communicate good things that will happen, likely just recently, or like just recently. My intuition gave me an image of a dear friend from college. I called her and she gave me such great news. It was a blessing. Her 40-year-old daughter, who recently married, is in her second trimester of pregnancy. And so she's about to be a grandmother. And so if I hadn't followed my intuition, I may have not gotten that news, at that time so early. So, how do you get intuition? How do I get intuition? Fortunately, we all come equipped with it. Many of us may already have a strong connection with it, while many of us are unaware that we have an inner wisdom that is always with us. Sometimes our first instinct will be to seek guidance from outside of ourselves to lead us the right way. Call up a friend or watch a video to get an answer. But we desperately, kind of look to others to simplify our decisions for us. So if you learn to turn inward, you will discover that you are all blessed with an intuitive guidance system. And the more we learn to listen to it and use it, the more confident you will be and uncover a greater peace, trust, and acceptance as you navigate your daily life. It may be helpful for you to learn how to tap into your intuition and then act on those whispers, even when they seem to make no logical sense. So, I'm going to talk to you about several ways to Listen to your intuition, hear your intuition clearer, and ultimately form a relationship with your intuition. It involves looking within, listening. That's why we practice listening at the beginning, and trusting yourself more. Okay. So the first is tune into your body, listen to your body. Your intuition speaks to you through your body. And the more you cultivate your bodily awareness, the more sensitive you become. If you get uncomfortable uh, or feel uncomfortable when you're trying to make a decision, pay attention to your body. Do you feel light or heavy? Got a sick feeling in your gut? Do you have a throbbing headache or stomach ache? It could be the result of stress responses because of false fear, but it also could be your intuition ringing loud and clear, trying to get your attention. Listen to your inner self. Your digestive system can help improve your intuition. There are neurotransmitters, messengers in your gut. So if you have a strong feeling about something, it's not something to ignore. So you can strengthen this aspect of your intuition by listening to the signals from your body. You need to make a decision. Tune in to what you're feeling and what you need before your conscious mind rationalizes the situation. So it's almost like the mind is in a race to make a decision with before your intuition does. It can be a job interview, a date, seeing your family. Try to have an open mind while scanning your body to find out what it feels like. Does your belly tighten into a knot? Is your chest open, or are you unconsciously closing it by crossing your arms? Sometimes we want to make decisions with our mind while our body already knows what the right thing to do is and informs us of it with a physical reaction. Suppressing bodily signals may develop into more severe symptoms. Anything from anxiety, depression, fatigue, migraines, nausea, and other physical ailments. Go with your gut. When you do, you may find your emotional body reacting with joy and happiness, ease and confidence, even if the choice doesn't seem rational at the time. How you feel is the greatest indicator of whether your choices are in alignment with your intuitive wisdom or not. The next strategy, technique, or tool is to do shadow work. That is, bringing love to unprocessed wounds. And in order for us to experience clear communication lines with our intuition, we must acknowledge, touch, and heal parts of ourselves we'd rather pretend did not exist. The, the shadow concept was coined by Carl Jung, a psychologist, and it refers to our deepest wounds. He describes the shadow as the shadow self is the darkest side of ourselves we repress or ignore. Just think of it as an invisible bag you drag around behind you. The wounds that have us believing we are flawed, unloved, unattractive, not smart, or undeserving people. You know, we engage in practices, or as we engage in practices that heal past wounds and that project onto our present, we enhance our ability to access our intuition. The next is learn from the past. And I invite you to recall a negative experience from your past, ideally something fairly recent. And before this happened, think back to whether you got feelings that urge you to stay away, stop, or get away. Maybe you felt knots in your stomach, that something wasn't right. Maybe you had a dream about it. If so, did you follow that feeling or dream, or did you talk yourself out of it? Try to remember the details about how you felt. The more you get in touch with that part of you that tried to warn you, the more you'll trust it the next time. I know I really recently experienced it when I had a job offer. And although it looked, the grass looked greener on the other side, my gut kept churning and telling me, you know, this may not be the right move. The last is, and you're quite familiar with it, is meditation. Each time we meet, I talk to you about the pearls within meditation. And you may seem to think it's a fix all. Well, it kind of is. It's a miracle. So, messages from your intuition tend to be quiet. So, spending time in silence will help you hear and interpret these messages. Make space to get quiet and listen to the words and the callings from your beautiful heart. Before meditating, though, ask yourself, what do I need to know today? And let the answer come to you. If nothing comes up, that's fine too. You know, I do this before every show. I ask myself and my intuition, what do our viewers, our guests need to hear from me today? And I'll tell you, that's how I come up with my personal examples. I don't think about them ahead of time. So if you practice daily and over time, you will be able to get more and more information from within. Meditation allows us to listen and to better interpret the information coming to us from our intuition. And if you don't meditate, just sitting quietly and breathing and listening is just as effective. So let's begin our meditation. Again, it's always an invitation. And this is a meditation to help you begin or reinforce the relationship with your intuition. I invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze and to relax into a position that is comfortable for you, sitting, standing, lying down, and allow your body to adjust as needed. And focus your attention on your breathing. Remember breathing slowly in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let your breathing, your body take over your breathing. Now, imagining that every out breath settles you deeper into your position and slows you down. See if you can breathe in just a little deeper and breathe out a little longer, expanding your breathing and slowing down your body naturally. That's the miracle of the breath as well. Today is a practice of being, of simply sitting with yourself in the present moment so that the spaciousness where your intuition lies can be revealed. There's nothing for you to do, nothing for you to seek out. It's all here within you in this moment. So breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth slowly. Perhaps your mind is trying to problem solve, trying to make sure this meditation works, longing for you to feel connected to yourself. As you notice any of these thoughts or emotions arise, just notice them and allow them to pass, bringing yourself back to your breath, breathing in and breathing out. This is a doorway to your inner voice and intuition, this present moment, this breath, this space that exists within you when you release your thoughts and emotions. Be here and listen just a little bit. If there is guidance you're seeking, decisions you're pondering, emotions you're managing, imagine them being released from you every time you breathe out. And just allow yourself to be here right now with no agenda, no expectations, no attachments to the outcomes, no desires, just deep presence. This is the way in. That is letting it all go. Feel that spaciousness expand. Feel the softness. This is your home. This is you. Be here and connect to your inner voice and intuition. Perhaps imagining yourself bringing your hand to your heart, tapping into your true self. Be here for a few moments. And if you're listening to this recording or you want to go back to it, then just pause the tape. Every time, everything you could possibly want is already here for you, inside of you. All you have to do is be here and listen. She, that is intuition, is always here to guide you with never ending love. True love begins here. Remember, with the practice as we close, I want to say that remember, with the practice of listening, loving, and trusting yourself, you have the ability to cultivate a relationship with your intuition. You possess all the reassurance and encouragement and answers to all of your questions. All you need to do is look inside yourself. Before we end, I will read a poem from my book, Regala Healing. The 100 healing poems are a product of me doing my shadow work. That is acknowledging and healing the wounds that got in the way of me having a trusting relationship with my inner voice and my intuition. Not my intuition, my intuition. The poem I will read is titled appropriately, My Intuition. And it is on page 185 of the physical book, which is available on my website. And it's on page 112 in the new ebook, which has just been released today on Amazon. Okay, so I'm going to get my copy of the book and I'm going to read from page 185. Okay. My intuition. My intuition is a precious gift. My intuition gives me a celestial lift. My intuition connects me with insight. My intuition enlivens life with penetrating light. My intuition appears as a gentle breeze. My intuition creates unconscious knowing with ease. My intuition is, oh, so accurate. My intuition characterizations are immaculate. My intuition peeks into obscure thoughts. My intuition is grace from the cross. So I'd like to invite you to join me every first and third Sundays at 9 a.m. Pacific time, right here on blackdoctor.org. Today we're broadcasting at a special time. I'd like you to leave comments. I do read and will respond to your questions. I ask you to subscribe and like so that you will know when new programming is available. And I also invite you to visit my site, regalahealing.com, to learn more about my healing and self care work and resources. I want to thank you for joining us today. And as always, I wish you love and light until I see you again.